Welcome to the Bag Maker's Workroom. I am Chris with Simply Classic, and today is Thursday, August 14th, 2025. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us live this evening. I was thinking as we were getting ready that here in the South, kids are already back in school. That kind of signifies the end of summer. Of course, Labor Day is right around the corner, and I believe that up north and other places of the country, kids will be going back to school in a couple weeks. So I know a lot of you are probably wrapping up your summer vacations. I had someone email me just the other day and asked about a leather pairing, what leathers look well together. And she said, I'm on the beach, so I can't see the colors on my phone. I trust you. So I thought that was cute. So I hope that all of you are enjoying the end of your summer. Of course, here in the South, we still have a lot of heat left before it starts cooling off. But I know in some areas of the country, not so much. So again, we really appreciate you joining us live here Thursday. We're live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't join us live, you certainly can watch the recording on YouTube at any time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you know when we're going live, and click the bell icon to be notified whenever I post a new video. So I see a lot of people there in the chat. Adorable Creations is here. We appreciate you joining us. We have Gloria here from Nashville, Tennessee. So thank you so much. And Jackie, of course, is here from, I'm not sure where Jackie's from, but I recognize your name, Jackie Stalker. So here is what we have planned for you this evening. We're going to start by going over what's new in the Simply Classic Scoop. I'm then going to show you our pattern of the week, the Kaplan, and some perfect pairings. We're going to look at some fun ways to mix and match pieces from different patterns to get something new, a totally new look. We're going to talk about knockoff bags in the Thursday thread, and then we're going to feature our customers' bags in Artistry Avenue. Finally, at the end, we'll do a Q&A and a pattern giveaway. So as a reminder, if you have any questions during the live stream, ask them in the YouTube chat. Please take a second to click the thumbs up button, and that's going to help us reach more people. So now it's time for the Simply Classic Scoop, and this is where I tell you about some things that are going on here behind the scenes at Simply Classic. And the first is the Lacy class. So we announced last week that we just added another session of the Lacy. This class is part of our Leather Bag Making by Machine series. It is a 10-day course that was designed for bag makers with some leather experience who want to learn new skills. If you took the Bandit class with me, this is really a great next step. The Lacy includes 6 pre-recorded video lessons and 3 live Zoom check-ins. So this here is the Lacy. You see a red one up here. I have a brown one here. This brown is actually one of the colors that is available. And it gets its name, obviously, from the lacing and the braiding techniques that we use to construct it. We use one type of braiding technique to attach the gusset to the front and the back pieces, and then another technique here on the flap. The bag really has minimal hardware. It's just basically a snap closure here on the flap, and then it does have an adjustable crossbody strap that has some sand brown studs. Inside there is a slip pocket for your cell phone, and there's no exterior pockets. Okay, the back is just plain. And we really wanted, when I designed this, to have the leather and the lacing kind of shine, right? Because we have some pretty cool leathers that we're using for this class. So the class is from September 19th through Monday the 29th. The cost of the class is $350 plus shipping. That covers just about everything you need to complete your Lacy, including the lessons, the pattern, which will never be released outside the course, and the class kit with the materials. You also get a lifetime access to your student portal, so you can revisit the lessons at any time. The kit includes the Italian leather in your choice of either distressed russet, which is really gorgeous, elephant gray, or the very dark brown embossed ostrich, which you just saw. It has matching kangaroo lace. And if you've never used kangaroo lace before, it is really some good stuff. You're going to like it. The leather stiffener, hardware, and a silver marking pen, along with some other essentials, are included in the kit. It does not include thread or needles, leather glue, edge paint, and a few other things that you'll need to have on hand if you want to continue working with leather. We have a complete list of what is and what is not included on our website. You know, these classes are so much fun, and I enjoy interacting with all of you. Of course, we do 3 different Zoom lessons. One time I think we even added one because it was a weird weekend with Mother's Day. And so, you know, I'm here to help you through it. And it's really, I think, gives you an opportunity to work with leather and learn new techniques, but it kind of forces your hand a little bit, right? You know, I force you to cut the leather. I force you to do some of these things that sometimes is a little intimidating. So if you want to learn more about the class, check out the link below, and we hope to see you in the next Lacey. Just want to give you a quick reminder that we do have some faux leather mystery boxes left. Each box is $75, and it includes 6 rolls of faux that's slightly imperfect. It's still usable, but you know, so there might be a little mark on it somewhere that we didn't like, so we couldn't send it out as a brand new, nice, good roll. So if you order a box, you end up getting like 40% off retail prices, and it's really a great deal. So the link's down below if you want to go ahead and grab one. We have limited, you know, these kind of come on and go off, and it just depends on what we have when orders come in, how much damage we have. So I think we have, last I checked, maybe 9 boxes left or something. So go ahead and get one before it's too late. All right, we want to go ahead and do our live drawing, and this is where we pick a giveaway or a winner from last week. Every week we pick one winner live and one winner on our replay for the PDF pattern, basically the pattern of the week. And so we have the name of everyone who entered here, and I'm going to draw a winner. You're going to win a PDF pattern for the Gemella. So we asked you to share your first name and your favorite tip or product to organize your workroom. So these are really good. This is good tips, good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one winner. And we have, we have Rock Leatherworks. So Rock says, I'm using a, hold on, I got to bring it down here. I'm using a tool chest and a hairdresser caddy and lots of discipline to put back tools after I use them so my work desk stays clean. So congratulations, Rock. Please email share@simplyclassic.net and we will go ahead and get you your Gemella. This is gorgeous in leather too, by the way. I'm excited to see what you do with that. So let me go ahead and set those aside. And now we're going to go move on to our featured products. And of course, our featured product this week is the Kaplan. Now, the Kaplan is this, you see a couple of them. I have one here and I have one up there. This was the second, I believe the second quarter bag making subscription box. And it was really one of my favorites. I really love the Kaplan. It is on sale for $12.49 this week for the PDF version. Okay, so we're going to go to the overhead and I'm going to show you a little bit more about the Kaplan. It is a crossbody bag, and it is, you know, a bag that you've got a lot of freedom to be really creative. It is a kind of a trapezoidal shape in a way because the sides kind of angle out a little bit instead of going straight up and down. It is our very first satchel pattern that we have. And it's also our first kind of gender neutral bag. So depending on the materials you use, you can, you know, either have it be a little more feminine or a little more masculine. So the flap has an accent with this flap keeper, and it's really a great opportunity to use an accent color or even 2. You know, you could, obviously you see I have 3 different faux leathers here that I'm using, but you could certainly do this in this color or something totally different. You can get real creative with this. It does have an adjustable crossbody strap, okay? It has optional rivets here. You can either, this is stitched on, this keeper, but you could put rivets there if you'd like. It does have an exterior zipper or slip pocket. And this is really a cool one because it's got this accent here at the top. And it's a super deep slip pocket that will fit your cell phone, no problem. I mean, this goes like way down in here. So we always try to make sure that our pockets fit cell phones of all sizes. Luckily, we have enough people around here that we're able to grab everybody's cell phone and say, hey, does this fit? Does this fit? Does this fit? And sometimes we have to adjust. On the inside, we have an interior zipper pocket and a slip pocket, and of course, a key fob. So you open this up, it's nice and slim, and you can see all of those good features here on the inside. The measurements are 10 3/4 inches wide. It's 10 inches tall and then 3.5 inches deep. Okay. So it is really, I would say, more of an intermediate level bag. And the reason why it's not, okay, it's not super difficult. I'm not trying to say that at all. It's really not. What makes it intermediate are these seams here, because you have a concave and a convex curve that come together to form this seam. In the video for the Kaplan, I show you 2 different ways to stitch it. And, you kind of take whichever way you find easier. But it is something that, is a little bit of a challenge. So if you want to learn something new, you want to learn how to work with those, this would be a great bag for that. So Laura says, could you make it a hip bag? You probably could, yes. You could probably take this pocket out and put some kind of slot here so that you could turn it into some kind of belt bag. Or what might be better, because it is a larger bag, is to do that and then put another strap down here that you can strap against your leg. So it would be kind of like a hip bag that extends down to your thigh. Does that make sense? More like a thigh bag is what I would suggest on that. It would be really good, like if you ride either horses or motorcycles or something like that. I think it would be a really great bag to turn it into something like that. It'd be a great hack. I like that idea. So at the end of today's show, I'll be giving away a Kaplan PDF to someone watching live, so stick around for that. But right now, I'm going to tell you, if you're watching the replay, how to enter to win a Kaplan. And of course, we will draw a winner next week, like we did at the beginning of this episode, so that you can see who won. This is open worldwide, and what you want to do is leave a comment on the video and let me know your first name and the sewing project you're most proud of. And it doesn't have to be a bag. It can be anything. If you made a wedding dress, that would be, fantastic. A prom dress. Maybe you made a pair of shoes, or, a jacket, a bomber jacket or jean jacket, or maybe a set of window treatment, whatever it may be, a bag. It doesn't matter. We would love to hear what you are most proud of. So again, this giveaway is for our replay watchers. So we'll pick one comment at random. We're going to announce the winner on next week's Bag Makers Workroom to anyone who comments before next Thursday on the replay video. Okay. So now it's time for perfect pairings, and this is where we match some of our leather and faux leather with lining, thread, and hardware. We know it's hard sometimes to figure out what matches when you're looking at photos on a screen, so we really like to do this to help you out. And I'll tell you, this first perfect pairing is inspired by one of you. A customer ordered this week, and it's a customer I hadn't seen around in a while, and she ordered a beautiful combination, and I thought, oh my gosh, this has to be a perfect pairing. It is absolutely gorgeous. So what she did is she ordered what we call croc stridge. It's basically our crocodile ostrich in the cream color, and she ordered the textured camel to go with it, which is beautiful. But then in addition, look what she added to it. Our Bianca blue lining. This is kind of a new lining for us. And of course, I'm sure she's using bronze hardware. She must have hardware in her stash because she didn't order that. But we do suggest either the burnt orange thread if you're using a Tex 45, or if you're using a Tex 70, the sand would go well. Or you could even use the sand in the Tex 45, whichever you prefer. But either one of these threads would go really well. But this would make a gorgeous Kaplan or any other bag that you want to make. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I just want to say thanks, Jen. This is a really great pairing. Love it. Okay, and now we want to go and talk about our leather pairing. So last week we looked at trending colors for the fall and winter, and a lot of us were really surprised that pastels are all over the runways for fall. One color that has been really popular this summer is like a buttery yellow, which is really a soft shade of a pastel yellow. It's been reported all over big fashion sites, and you know, it's really having a moment. So we were inspired by that, and we decided to go ahead and put this yellow as one of our perfect pairings. So the color of this leather is called pale yellow. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. We love the satin cheetah lining with this. We think that would make an amazing bag. Of course, we also think that the bronze hardware would go well with it. And then I would suggest white thread in both the Tex 45 or the Tex 70. I love yellow. Yellow just is a happy color. It reminds me of, you know, sunshine and summer days, and it's just really beautiful. And this is, I think, a leather that's kind of overlooked sometimes. Yellow isn't usually super popular, but again, you know, for whatever reason, fall, winter, the pastels are in. And so we really think this would be a great option. So we, of course, think both of these pairings would look amazing on a Kaplan or any bag that you would like to make. This pale yellow is 10% off this week. The Kaplan PDF patterns are $12.49 until next Wednesday. And then, of course, hardware kits are also 10% off. Okay, perfect pairings is so fun. We always have so much fun doing that. So next we have Sharpen Your Skills, and this is where we talk about tips and techniques to help you become a better bag maker. And today I want to talk about mixing and matching pattern pieces to create something new. So if you've watched my videos before, you know I love to have patterns. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love to add different features to make a bag my very own, and I always encourage all of you to do the same. As I say, a pattern is a suggestion, not a rule. You know, you've got a lot of leeway and a lot of room for creativity, and we love your creativity. So today I want to show you some really great examples and share some tips. So first I have two examples from our customers. Okay, so these are ones or bags that were posted in the Simply Classic bag making community, the Facebook group. And this first one, and you know, she's amazing. This comes from Vicki Burcham. She is the namesake for the Burcham pattern, because when I was working on the Burcham pattern and it was out there, man, she, like, every week she was posting Burcham. She loved that pattern. So I asked her if I could name the pattern after her, and she was so excited to allow me to do it. So anyway, here we are. This is what she did. She took the Burcham. She took the Andorra by EN Designs, and then she also took the Candlewood Toe by Love Lola, and she mixed them all together, and she got Vicky's bag, which is the one you see there on the right. So here's some photos, some more photos of her bag. You can see it up close. She did an amazing job. She basically added that cool, I guess you'd call it, I guess it's like a bow tie technique down the front. Very beautiful. I love that she has that little bow tie hardware at the top too, kind of adds to it. And then on the back, she added the zipper pockets there for the Burcham, but then she added that slip pocket on the top too. So she's got lots of pockets on here. She's a master at the Burcham. I'm telling you, she is amazing. So this is really fantastic, but really great way to mix and match patterns. So this next bag comes from Diane. And again, she posted this in the Facebook group, and she combined the Simply Classic clutch with a Kaplan flap that she modified. And then she came up with Diane's bag, which you see there. So we're going to take a little closer look at it, and you can see that she basically used like half of the flap, which is really cool. And she took the zipper off the Simple Classic clutch. It's just a flat closure. And really, I mean, wow, they made it into a little wristlet. It is absolutely gorgeous. I really love this idea. So we're going to do the overhead, and I'm going to show you how she did this, at least how I think she did this. So we have the Simply Plastic Clutch pattern piece here. Okay. And from what it looks like, what she did is you can see the Kaplan flap is much bigger, much larger than this, almost the same size, you know, but a little bit wider. So what I believe she did is she took the flap and she cut it. So we're just going to fold this and make pretend it's cut. Okay. And placed it off to the side here, and then she just added. So she just took probably a ruler and just went right up like this and finished out the flap. And then she had this offset flap on the Simply Plastic clutch, and then she put her closure here, and then of course added a wristlet strap. And how ingenious is that? I mean, that is amazing. I absolutely love that. So simple, and yet what a statement piece. Just amazing. So in kind of taking the spirit of this, we're going to go over some different pattern pieces and how we can kind of mix and match them to come up with different ideas. So let's move on to, I've got all these different pattern pieces here, and they're all from all different bags. And I could have done this for hours, so I had to limit myself. So Diane said, made the clutch pattern bigger. Oh, so okay. So you made the clutch pattern bigger first, then added the flap. Oh, okay. Okay. So basically, I see what she's saying is she just took this piece, she made this piece larger because, of course, like I mentioned, the flap is bigger. And then as she made this larger, it fit the flap a little better. And then she cut the flap and did the adjustments. Very cool. I love this. Okay. So I was having fun. So what I did is here, okay, let me show you first. We've got this, and I took the straps off to make it easier. This is the busta, okay? You guys know, I'm sure, the busta. We have a flap here on the busta. Very unique kind of flap. So let's take a look at what we can do with that. So here's the pattern piece for the busta. Okay, this is a large pattern piece. I just folded it up, and essentially this is the front of the busta right here. So let's say that we, instead of using the busta flap, which is what this is, let's say we use the sienna flap. So here's one of the sienna flaps. I just went ahead and folded the edges in where you would stitch, folded this in half. And let's say we took this and we put it on the back and we brought it forward, and we actually have a sienna flap on a busta bag. That would be cool. I think that would look really good. Okay. Another idea is to take the Roseanne. The Roseanne also has a small flap here. Okay. Thinner. So let's take the Roseanne flap and let's put the Roseanne flap on the busta. You know, I think that would look amazing as well. Also, the Roseanne has this cool overlay piece. Okay. I think that would look amazing on the busta. And I'm not just concentrating on the busta tonight. We're going to look at some others. But if you were to put this overlay on the busta, so of course the overlay has got a curved edge up here because the Roseanne is curved. The busta is straight. So you would just line it up and just go ahead and cut off these extra little pieces here. You could line that up on your busta, go ahead and stitch it on. And then you could go ahead and use the Roseanne flap as well. And you would have a really cool looking busta. All right, let's switch it up. Let's think about the sienna. So the sienna, this is a large version here. You can see we've got a pretty small flap, and you know, the bag, of course, has got the curved edges. So this is what it typically looks like. But if we take the sienna, which here is the sienna pattern piece, went ahead and folded up. That would be the bottom. This would be the side. So essentially this would be the medium-sized sienna. And let's put a Roseanne flap on that. So typically the flap for the sienna, again, is this kind of smaller one. But what if we put a larger flap on that? I think that would be really cool. I also think that, let's see what else I have here. We've got a Roseanne front. So the Roseanne kind of has this dip in it. You could take the Roseanne, and what if you put the Busta is a little bit too wide for that. So that's one of the things you need to look at. Okay, so when you're trying to mix and match pattern pieces, you need to see which pattern pieces naturally fit well together. And if they don't fit well together, what do you need to alter to make them fit well? So in this case, I would take some out of the center of this Busta flap. So basically, I would just cut it down the center, then take and overlap these pieces to make it smaller if you wanted to try to maintain the shape. But overall, you know, that's just might not be a good fit. But what would be a good fit is this sienna flap. I think that would look really cool. And I know these are all in white, but we're just trying to kind of give you an idea. Okay. Or, of course, the Roseanne flap, we know. Let's see what else I have here. The other thing I wanted to look at was for the Simply Classic clutch, kind of staying on Diane's idea, is what if you did the Simply Classic clutch with a Busta flap, and you just make the flap smaller, and you could maybe keep the zipper and then just get that kind of curved shape here. That would be neat. Or you could, here is the Sorella flap. So the Sorella flap is wider, and I think the Sorella flap would look really good on the Simply Classic clutch because you've got the same curves here as you do here. Okay. Now, in addition to flaps and overlays, you can certainly adjust with handles. So if you have any kind of adjustable strap or any kind of handle that you want to switch out on another bag, those are easy, simple fixes. We have all kinds of different kinds of adjustable handles and different things you could switch around. The Lusso has got buckles that you could probably put on pretty much any bag. You also have a really cool adjustable strap on the Zara that just came out that you could use on the Kaplan, or, you know, etc. Those are easy, you know, turnouts and adjustments that would be really neat. So Diane said, I did my sienna with a Roseanne flap and I love it. Mix and match. Yes. And, you know, that's the thing about patterns, is that there's so many cool pieces and patterns. You don't have to go out and buy a new pattern for every single thing. A lot of times you can kind of look and see what you have and, you know, come up with something new. And then, of course, then it will really be your own. Be really cool. So I would really love to see other bags that you've created mixing and matching patterns. If you have something to share, we'd love to see it in the Simply Classic Facebook bag making community. Go ahead and post it and we will take a look at it. Get inspired. All right, so now it's time for the Thursday thread, and this is where I share a sewing story. Lately, we've been covering different bag designers, but today I want to talk about something a little different, and that's counterfeit designer bags. So lately, I've been getting a lot of spam comments on YouTube from a company that sells knockoff bags. And I always delete those comments and block the accounts, but then they pop up under a new company name. And, you know, this happens every few months. And it got me thinking, where are these bags coming from? And what's the quality like? And how did the fake bags become such a big industry? Because let's face it, it is kind of its own industry. So let's talk about it. So first, I want to distinguish between bags that are designer inspired and bags that are actually knockoffs. They're very different things. Making a bag that looks similar to a designer bag is completely okay. The world's biggest designers, as you have seen in some of the inspirations that we've shown, and, you know, they copy each other. That's all kind of part of the industry. And, you know, someone will come out with some great big new design, and next thing you know, they all have something very similar. And, you know, in most cases, that's legal. That's not a problem. There's no copyright or trademark or patents in fashion. So you see, you know, some Angelina Jolie on the red carpet with this great new dress, and a week later you see it in, you know, Target or whatever stores, you know, replicas, and that's kind of part of it. There are exceptions, and for example, you cannot legally take someone else's logo and put it on your product, okay? But we all know that doesn't stop people from doing that. So let's look at an example. So here is the classic Chanel double flat bag on the left. It's very classic, very expensive. The medium size cost over $11,000. But fake versions like the one on the right are available online for under $300. And some of them are shockingly good quality. You can see that this fake bag has the Chanel logo on it, and that's what's illegal here. And the sellers are trying to pass it off as the real deal. Now that's different than the bag in the middle. This would be considered a dupe or a replica. It takes inspiration from the Chanel bag, but it's not pretending to be an authentic Chanel product. The shape of the flap is a little different, for example, and most importantly, there's no Chanel logo on the bag. So from a legal perspective, it's not always so clear cut. So these would be, the one in the center and at the bottom would be considered a replica, but let's look at a few more examples. So Burberry, this is the company that's notorious for their lawsuits. They've trademarked their signature Burberry checker pattern, and they will sue anyone who tries to copy it. A print or pattern like this can be trademarked because essentially it's a piece of art that represents the brand, and it just happens to be on a garment. So in 2018, Burberry sued Target for a collection that very closely resembled Burberry. They ended up settling out of court, and Target removed the designs from their stores. But you can see from these scarves here that, that's essentially what Target was trying to do, probably, I think. Seems, yeah. So now let's look at this situation. This is a little murkier. In 2024, Louis Vuitton won a lawsuit against a Korean company that would refurbish and resell their vintage Louis Vuitton bags. The company wasn't just cleaning up old bags. They were completely upcycling them into something new, like we see here in these examples. So unfortunately, because these new designs had the Louis Vuitton logo on them, they were technically considered to be counterfeit because a reasonable customer might mistake them for an original Louis Vuitton bag. So here we're talking about taking a logo, and it just happens to be on fabric instead of on metal or whatnot, and basically reusing the fabric to create another bag. And of course, the logo is still on it. Okay, so you see the difference there? So now this particular company got into trouble because they were very popular to the point that they were financially impacting Louis Vuitton. I know a lot of people upcycle designer bags on a smaller scale, and I'm sure, many of you have done that. Legally, if you're not selling them, you can do whatever you want. Illegally, that's your decision. We won't talk about that. So there is also the issue of patents, which protect inventors. And sometimes these also apply in the handbag world. So this is a Ralph Lauren Ricky bag. And in 2015, they released a new version that included LED lights to illuminate the inside of the bag, as well as a built-in USB port to charge your phone. So a man sued Ralph Lauren over this bag because he claimed it violated 2 patents that he held. The issue is a little different because it's about technology and not design. The bag itself wasn't being copied. It was something Ralph Lauren already offered. But the patent holder felt they were knocking off his invention, which is a legal issue. However, he did end up losing the lawsuit, and Ralph Lauren continued to sell their version of it. So the law is not always clear-cut in these cases, and that's why lawyers make the big bucks. And hopefully you never need one, but if you do, they can be worth every penny. There's plenty of situations where there's no question that the bag's a knockoff. And when it's pretending to be the real luxury bag with a real designer logo, and it's just not. So Dalva says, that was my line of work for the past 10 years in my U.S. Customs Trade Enforcement. The first thing that gives away a counterfeit bag is the country it is coming from. Interesting. Okay, I like that. Well, there you go. We got somebody who, you got it planned. You got to really be an expert at it. That's cool. So it's estimated that around 70% of counterfeit goods in the US come from China and Hong Kong. China has a lot of people who are very skilled in textile and apparel manufacturing. Materials and labor are obviously very much cheaper than they are here in the US. And these days, a lot of counterfeit bags are coming from China, and we call them super fakes. And that basically means that they're very comparable in quality to the real thing, and it's hard to tell the difference. So Dalva, I'd be interested if that's what you found, that a lot of the counterfeit bags come from China, because that's what we're seeing. So while we're on the topic of bag factories in China, I want to take a second to dispel a myth that's been kind of circulating online recently. Some people claim that 80% of luxury bags are mostly made in China and the components are shipped back to Europe to be assembled. The rumor is that it's a way for these brands to say like they're made in Italy or whatever, you know, even though most of the bag is outsourced. And that is not true. And it's not because Chinese factories aren't capable of producing these bags, because they certainly are, but it's because a lot of the leather and other things they're doing are in Europe already. And so to take the product, to ship it out to another country, have them work on it and ship it back is just not cost effective. So it ends up that they don't do that. They usually assemble them all in the European country. The EU is very big on that. And it's not true that the Chinese factories make a majority of the luxury bags. However, some of them are certainly very capable of producing the same quality. So we're going to go back to super fake. So Dalva said, yes, most come from China. Okay. And designer bags are shipped from specific city and carrier. Oh, how about that? Interesting. Okay. So let's get back to super fakes for just a second. So these, there are, you know, professional authenticators who get tricked by these super fakes as well. I mean, they're really hard to tell sometimes the difference. So the authenticators are having to learn new skills, like how to differentiate between the scent of an Hermes leather versus a Gucci leather, so they can figure out if a bag is genuine or not. So these days, there are even AI apps that claim to be almost 100% accurate at identifying fake bags. Now, that kind of feels like a stretch to me, but who knows? It may, you know, it's an interesting idea. But can you imagine having to go around and sniff the bags? That's interesting. So key differences between real and fake bags are often related to quality. I mean, even though the quality is good, here's some things that we can look at. Luxury brands tend to really prioritize every single detail. They care about very precise stitching and high quality hardware and leather, making sure that any print or pattern are perfectly aligned. So here are two examples of stitching on a real versus a fake Louis Vuitton bag. On the real bags, the stitching is very precise. On the fake bags, there's nothing wrong with it per se, but it's bulkier. So the photos on the right, the real bag is top stitch where the fake is not. So let's take a look at this for a second, because I really had to look at these photos. The one on the left, where you just see the stitching, okay, the picture, of course, on the very left is real, and the one on the right is fake. And when I was looking at these stitches, I really could not, my eye could not distinguish a big enough difference that I could tell. I just don't see. I almost prefer the fake over the real. I mean, it just doesn't, I can't tell. I can't see anything there. I mean, it's just to see if you guys do, but I don't. However, on the right, looking at the real versus the fake, obviously, you know, that fake not being top stitched is a detail that those designers, those luxury designers put into the bag. They have the products, you know, the machines to do it. And look at how perfectly matched that design is at the top. It's actually under the word real, but you can see how perfectly matched it is. And even the row, look at the row of like kind of diamonds below it, how perfectly lined up they are. Where the fake one, you can see is off a little bit. And it might be slight, but it's off. So with these super fakes, sometimes you literally need to rip the bag apart before you can see where they cut corners to save money. And a lot of you probably know about Tanner Leatherstein. He's really fun to watch. He's a leather craftsman who's very popular on YouTube. And one thing he does is deconstruct leather bags to explain how they're made and show the quality of the designer products. If you have never watched him before, you need to go check him out because he's fun to watch. He actually got his hands on a Birkin super fake and he took it apart for a video. The bag itself was excellent. It had high quality leather, perfect stitching, and really sturdy hardware. But when he cut into the bag, he noticed the lower quality and misalignment of the stiffeners and other issues that you can't see at first glance. His conclusion was that the fake was almost as good as the real thing until you look at it very, very closely in the details. But these are things that you would never notice unless you basically performed a bag autopsy. So knockoff bags have gotten very impressive over the past 20 years. They used to be more about slapping a designer logo on something that, actually making it a bag that could pass for luxury. But these days, there are a lot of really excellent fakes. Now, it's disappointing that these talented bag makers are using their skills to make illegal counterfeit bags instead of creating some of their own designs. But the fact is, some customers prioritize logo over quality and originality, and that's just the nature of luxury fashion. So let me know in the chat and in the comments, what do you think about fake designer bags? Have you ever owned one or have you made one? And of course, I know none of you have ever sold one because that would be illegal. So we'll definitely don't be discussing anything you sold like that in the chat. All right. So we are going to move on to Artistry Avenue. And this is where we feature bags made by you, our customers. Every week we share bags that were posted in the Simply Classic Bag Making community on Facebook, or if they were emailed to share@simplyclassic.net. That counts too. Our featured artist will win a PDF pattern of your choice, and this is open worldwide. If we feature your bag, you have 30 days to email share@simplyclassic.net to let us know which pattern you'd like. So now let's take a look at this week's artists. Karen made this Kaplan for fall, and she used vinyl for the exterior, waterproof canvas for the lining, and this beautiful webbing for the strap. The colors are perfect for fall. And I love color blocking. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love this bag. You did a great job, Karen. Now, Quinn 52 made this Kaplan, and she posted it in the Facebook group. And I'm not sure if Quinn is really her name because she posted anonymously, but that's what we're going to call him. So Quinn used Michael Kors fabric for the flap and added some really cool chunky hardware. So this definitely looks like a designer bag. And my guess is that if it were in a store, it would technically be considered a fake. But like I said before, it's my understanding that it's perfectly legal to make bags like this for your own use or to gift. And so, certainly if you have the fabric, go for it. Just don't sell them. Okay, Quinn, thanks for sharing your bag. It is absolutely gorgeous. And then Jackie made this adorable Kaplan for her gardener. The Kaplan is more of a gender neutral design, but Jackie's choice of materials really gives it a feminine look. And with the smaller hardware and the colorful hearts, I'm sure your gardener really loved this. I love this. I love the colors in it. It's so fun. It's really an amazing bag. So great job, Jackie. So congratulations to all of our artists. Please email us within 30 days. Share@simplyclassic.net and let us know which PDF pattern you would like. So Diane says, a friend brought me a fake Louis tote in New York. So yeah, New York was obviously huge for those. It was embarrassing. I'm sure it was cool. Terry says, yes, I had a Prada that I loved. Yeah, cool. That, unfortunately, it's kind of part of the industry. That's why I want to do a little segment on it. It's because it's really its own thing, right? It's its own kind of creature, and it's part of it. I don't know what else to say about that. It just is, and it's okay. Well, it's not okay for the designer, but you know. Anyway, before we move on to our Q&A, let's give away a pattern. So in case you missed it, the Kaplan, which is this bag behind me, which we looked at earlier, is our pattern of the week. One person watching live today will win a PDF pattern of the Kaplan. So to enter in the chat, go ahead and type the word satchel. S-A-T-C-H-E-L. Of course, because the Kaplan is a satchel. And this is open worldwide. Enter at one time. We'll let the computer pick a winner. But before we do, we first have a tip. And this is really good. I never thought about this, never knew this. And Michelle in Australia, she said, like last week, I don't know if you remember, we talked a lot about hair on hide because that was kind of on the runway a lot. And she had a suggestion for some people and said, if you top stitch on the hair on hide, okay, use a small wire brush after you stitch to gently brush the hair to free it from the stitches, and it should cover the stitches. So like a pet brush, like a cat brush, dog brush, like a little wire brush. I never thought about that. But that is a really great idea, because then the hair should hide the stitches and then you won't even see them. Cool. I like that. That's really good. Now, we do have a question from Delphina. And last week on the show, we talked about fall trends. And one of them was distressed or aged leather. So Delphina asked, does faux leather come in distress? My machine cannot sew real leather. So actually, yes, it does. And I'm going to just go to the overhead real quick because I want to show you, we actually have some distressed leathers. And these are not all of the colors, but it's most of them. I'm just going to show you how cool these are. So these are we have a gray as well, but these are our distressed leathers. And you can see how they really look like they're distressed. Okay, that's the brown. Really beautiful. We love these. And here's what we call mauve. Isn't that cool? It's amazing how much it looks like real leather. And of course, you know, all of our faux leathers are such good quality. They're so soft, and they're so pretty. This is a teal. Look at how pretty that is. So anyway, if you are interested in aged, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 7 or 8 colors of aged available. And they're all really fun to work with. Great options. Okay, so Kelly says, Chris, have you ever used weed whacker line to make piping? I have not, but I have heard a lot of people do, and I'm pretty sure it comes in different thicknesses as far as diameter, like the thickness of the weed whacker itself. So I'm assuming that you could, depending on the size of the piping you want, you could certainly use that, and I think it would make a nice sturdy piping. So that's a great idea. I have not, but I think it's a good solution. So Pat asked, what is the recommended weight of leather for would be best to make the Sorella bag? I made it, but I think the leather may have been too thick. Great pattern. I will try again. So when I made my Sorella, I had made one like years before I wrote the pattern to take to Italy with me. I used about a 0.8 to a 1 millimeter. It was pretty thin. So a lot of the leathers we have would really work well with it. And when you put that adhesive lining on it, it gives it a little bit of structure, and it's perfect. You really don't need any kind of stiffener or interface, and nothing like that. It really is good. So you do have to be a little bit careful on the thickness, but I think, you know, something like that, 0.8 to 1 would be perfect for you. So Adorable Creation says, I've made a few LV hacks. One I did the measurements backwards and made a Google wine. You know, I was looking at a Facebook post earlier today, and it was somebody made a Zara, and the back of the Zara, they had where the edge, like where you would stitch the pockets, they had 2 pieces of different color faux, like 2 strips, and it really looked cool. And she said what she did was she accidentally drew her lines for the pocket on the outside of the bag instead of the lining. And then she had these 2 lines that she couldn't get rid of. So she just covered up with faux, and it was really cool. So there are so many oops out there that it forces us to do something different, and it turns out to be amazing bags, right? Gorgeous things. So cool. You got to make it work, as Tim Gunn says. Okay, so I believe we have a winner. So Marcia Panton, congratulations. You have won the Kaplan PDF pattern. So email us at shareitsimplyclassic.net. And if you can do that within the next 24 hours, that would be ideal. And we'll go ahead and get your Kaplan pattern sent off to you. So thank you so much for joining me for the Bag Maker's Workroom. Make sure you join us next Thursday, August 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be talking about lacing and braiding techniques. Don't forget to submit your Simply Classic makes by posting them in the Facebook group or emailing shareitsimplyclassic.net. And please remember to click that thumbs up button on your way out. We appreciate it. And until next week, everybody, happy sewing.